Sean Payton have a history of taking quarterbacks and making them better. Bill Belichick has a history, his entire career, of creating pass rushes in New England without star pass rushers. He gave up on Chandler Jones. They still had a great pass rush. So Belichick's never felt the need to pay big money for a pass rusher because he believes schematically he can create the pass rush without paying for big money. I'll spend it elsewhere. Kyle Shanahan, similarly, never pays for running backs because he, in his career, he's taken C guys and made them B guys and B running backs and made them A running backs. He doesn't need it. His zone offense, his run game, he doesn't need to spend the money there. And we have a history in the NFL. We know certain coaches elevate certain positions. So Mike Lombardi is a former general manager in the NFL. He's a friend of Belichick. And he's very connected. Known Mike for a long time. He said the 49ers, in a column today, are interested in Sam Darnold. They're interested in two quarterbacks, Desahaun Watson and Sam Darnold. Darnold, according to Lombardi, can move. Shanahan likes his quarterbacks that can move. He's athletic and tough. Shanahan likes that. And he's got the arm strength to cover the field. But they like Desahaun Watson more, and the concern is we get Darnold, and then Desahaun Watson becomes available. And I would ask this. If Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have injuries at all, they wouldn't be moving off him. He showed he's good enough to get to the Super Bowl. He's a B quarterback talent that for a year when he was healthy played like an A- quarterback under Shanahan. Well, Darnold, if you ask any scout, is more athletic than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got better raw tools. He's a little bigger, huskier, more athletic, better arm than Garoppolo. So if Garoppolo can get to a Super Bowl, why can't Darnold? Why would Shanahan, who has a history of elevating quarterbacks and running backs, need an A quarterback that's going to cost you 3 or 4 first-round picks and maybe a starter to get? So this is why Belichick has moved off so many pass rushers. He's moved off really good defensive linemen. He'll spend his money elsewhere. He'll spend it on the O-line historically. He'll spend it on the secondary. But Belichick, pass rushers, I can generate that stuff. Shanahan's history is he made Matt Ryan the MVP of the league. Half of you want Matt Ryan out of the league. Half of you think Atlanta at 35 off a good year should move off Matt Ryan. He made him MVP. So to me, I look at it and I think if Garoppolo could get to a Super Bowl, Darnold's got better raw tools than Garoppolo. Just go with Darnold and don't give up 4 first-round picks. Here's another thing. Darren Waller is a great tight end for the Las Vegas, formerly Oakland, formerly L.A. Raiders. And he was saying, no excuses. We've got to make the playoffs. And, you know, I find this to be true about politics. People's opinions about a politician are overwhelmingly based on how they think about the Democrats or conservatives before you introduce the politician. A Republican will be cynical of a Democrat regardless of the Democrat's qualifications. And a Democrat will be cynical of a Republican regardless of a Republican's qualifications. They're cynical going in. And I was cynical going in with John Gruden's offer a decade, going to come back and coach against Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll. I'm cynical. So, you know, I was thinking about the Raiders. There's 2 ways to look at the Raiders. Here's the cynical way to look at Gruden and the Raiders. You know how we play the blind resume game for quarterbacks? Let's play the blind resume game for John Gruden. For our radio audience, we're going to consider a couple things. So John Gruden on the left has won 51% of his games. The person who is unidentified on the right has won 51% of his games. Playoff winning percentages, Gruden 55, guy on the right 50. Who is it? Anthony Lynn just got fired. All right, let's do it again. Blind resume. John Gruden against question mark. So this next coach has a better winning percentage in his career than Gruden, a better playoff winning percentage than Gruden, substantially. And he also has a Super Bowl. Who's that coach? Doug Peterson just got fired. Let's keep playing the blind resume game with Gruden. Oh, this coach has a better win percentage in his career than Gruden, slightly. Now, he doesn't have nearly as good as a playoff winning percentage, but he's got 4 division titles to Gruden's 5. Who's this coach? Oh, you all think he's a goofball, Bill O'Brien. That's one way to look at Gruden. Last 9 years, no playoff wins. His resume lines up with guys we're firing. Or there's the second way to look at Gruden. And because I was cynical going into it, I have to temper my opinions because I'm probably cynical now. But here's the good, more positive spin to look at Gruden. His first year, he won 4 games. His second year, he won 7 games. And this year, he won 8. But it's not just that he won 8. He beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. He beat playoff Cleveland in Cleveland. And they beat the Saints. And if you look at their schedule, now we know this, Gruden has also built a top 10 O-line, Derek Carr's best 2 years, superstar tight end, excellent running back. In an offensive league, their offensive personnel is outstanding. Nobody can deny that. Here's the other thing. Last year, they had a much tougher schedule. This year, they faced the AFC North and the NFC East, which is awful. So their home games this year, out of division, the Bengals at home, and cruddy Philadelphia at home, and Washington doesn't have a quarterback at home, and the Dolphins don't love Tua at home. You start looking at that schedule, and today, if I made a prediction for the Raiders, it would be 9-7. So with politics and sometimes with football teams, if you're cynical going in, you're going to be cynical even if there is growth. The Raiders have gotten better every year. You got to give Gruden credit. They've got really good offensive personnel. They've gone 4 wins, 7-8. And this year, it's a pretty workable schedule. It really is. They get some teams that aren't great at quarterback at home. They could get Tua at home, Taylor Heineke at home, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I mean, let's face it, Cincinnati doesn't win a lot of huge road games. So there you go. I'm trying to be optimistic with Gruden. I think it's reasonable to think next year, and I fill in my little predictions throughout the course of the offseason. I think the Raiders are a 9-7 team. I think that's reasonable. Black Rifle Coffee Company, veteran-owned, serving premium coffee to people who